Good morning, everyone. This is Father Nate, missionary priest in Italy, and thanks for joining us today, October 14th, on No Greater Delight, our podcast on Marian feasts and Marian meditations. Well, to start us off with our feast today, we have the Abbot Orsini telling us they celebrate Our Lady of La Rochette near Geneva. A shepherd coming up to a bush where he heard a plaintive voice found there an image of the Blessed Virgin, which led to a church being built there. Likewise, in Casalmaggiore, in Cremona, in Italy, we celebrate Madonna della Fontana, which is literally Our Lady of the Fountain. The first miracle that took place here took place in 1320. A blind man, after having washed his eyes with water from Our Lady's well, reacquired his sight. In 1463, there was another clamorous miracle. A severely sick man was healed after being immersed in the water from the fountain. And then it was decided to build the actual huge shrine that we find today. In Saxony, Germany, in Ostritz, they celebrate Saint Marian, Saint Mary in the Valley. That is a Cistercian monastery for women, and it was founded in 1234. 1234. We're told that it's still active. Likewise, in Yogyakarta, in Indonesia, they celebrate Sumber Maria Kitiran Mas. That's Mary as well. It was dedicated in 1985 and rededicated October 14th, 2001, right? La Virgen del Niño Perdido, they celebrate in Alquerías del Niño Perdido in Castellón, Valencia, Spain. That's Our Lady of the Lost Child. The statue was burned in 1936, right? I'm presumably during the Spanish Civil War. In 1939, the replacement statue was crowned. The replacement was made, and it was crowned October 14th, 1984. Likewise, Vierge de la Font de la Salud, Lady of the Fountain of Health, in Torreguera, Castelló, Valencia, Spain. This statue was found in 1384. Then we also need to mention that they celebrate today the Virgin of Protection, which is celebrated by both the Orthodox and the Byzantine Catholic churches. So, begun in 450 by the Empress Alea Pulcheria, that means beautiful, not ugly, the church complex of St. Mary in the Blanquerney district of Constantinople became one of the most sacred sites in Byzantium, right? Housing a fountain of holy water, a miraculous icon of the Virgin, and her robe, sash, and veil, right? As the Greek word for veil or mantle also means protection, the relics housed in this church became associated with God's protective power manifested through his mother. So the Feast of Our Lady of Protection, which in Russian is Pokrov, is celebrated throughout the Orthodox and Byzantine Catholic churches on October 1st in the Old Style, October 14th in the modern calendar, or October 28th on the liberation of Greece, right? We're told that today's date commemorates an apparition to St. Andrew the Fool, who died in 936. His disciple Epiphanius, and the other people who were praying in the church during an all-night vigil, right? Those who witnessed the Virgin enter the church, kneel in tearful prayer, and then ascend, holding her veil over the congregation, took it as a sign of her care for them. Other sources place the apparition in the October apparition in 9/11, the year 9/11. Others during the Russian naval siege of the 860s. In any event, it's this beautiful apparition that we have, and Our Lady pulled her veil, her protection, over the people. So that's what we're celebrating today in the Marian world on October 14th. Well, for today's reading from True Devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary by St. Louis de Montfort, we're going to continue with part 1. If you remember, part 1 of this text concerns the devotion to our Blessed Lady in general. And we just finished talking about false devotions to Our Lady, right? St. Louis de Montfort gave us that long list of what are false devotions, things that are not really helping us grow closer to Mary and Jesus. But today, in subsection 2, we're going to talk about on the characters, or maybe we should say characteristics, of true devotion to our Blessed Lady. And so at point 105, he says, after having laid bare and condemned the false devotions to the Most Holy Virgin, we must, in a few words, characterize the true devotion. It must be, and these are his 5 characteristics, interior, tender, holy, constant, and disinterested. Interior, tender, holy, constant, and disinterested. At point 106, he says, true devotion to Our Lady is interior. That is to say, it comes from the spirit and the heart. It flows from the esteem we have of her, the high idea we have formed of her greatness, and the love which we have for her. Point 107. This true devotion is tender. That is to say, full of confidence in her, like a child's confidence in his loving mother. This confidence makes the soul have recourse to her in all its bodily or mental necessities, with much simplicity, trust, and tenderness. It implores the aid of its good mother, at all times, in all places, and about all things. In its doubts, that it may be enlightened. In its wanderings, that it may be brought into the right path. In its temptations, that it may be supported. In its weaknesses, that it may be strengthened. In its falls, that it may be lifted up. In its discouragements, that it may be cheered. In its scruples, that they may be taken away. In its crosses, toils, and the disappointments of life, that it may be consoled under them. In a word, in all its evils of body and mind, the soul's ordinary refuge is Mary, without fearing to be inopportune to her or to displease Jesus Christ. So again, true devotion is interior. It's in the inside. It flows from the devotion we have interiorly. And it's tender, like he says, like a child's confidence in its loving mother.
Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed our Marian podcast. As St. John Paul II teaches us, from Mary we learn to love Christ, her Son, the Son of God. Through her intercession, may we grow ever closer to Him. We encourage you to share this with a loved one or friend and help spread our devotion to Mary. Thank you, and God bless.